Vandami Bante. Good morning, everyone. Good evening to everyone in the Western Hemisphere. Welcome to Lesson 8, 18 Rootless Consciousness Part 1. May we invite Bante to start the teaching, please? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Have a good time for everyone and happy study. Let's start our Vidama study for today's session by paying homage to the Buddha, reciting the Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Last week we have studied about the unwholesome cause and unwholesome consciousness already finished. So today we are going to continue the rootless consciousness according to the arrangement of the Abhidhamma Sangha. This rootless consciousness in Pali, Atharasa Ahetuka Chittani. This is the second types of consciousness, second group of consciousness. Rather, according to the classification of consciousness, according to the realms, this is under the category of sensuous pure consciousness. So there are 3 divisions of sensuous pure consciousness. The first one is unwholesome consciousness, second one is rootless consciousness, and the third one is beautiful sensuous pure consciousness. So according to this division, this classification, the unwholesome consciousness comes first, and after that rootless consciousness follow, then the last one, beautiful sensual sphere consciousness. So the beautiful one comes in the last part. So the former one can be understood not beautiful. So unwholesome and this rootless consciousness are considered as not beautiful consciousness. So why they are considered as not beautiful consciousness? So unwholesome consciousness has the unwholesome roots, lobha, dosa, moha. So they are not beautiful because of their roots. Their roots are unwholesome. So that is not beautiful. Due to their roots, the consciousness also considered as not beautiful consciousness. In the same way, in case of rootless consciousness, so in this type of consciousness, there is no roof at all. So the tree, like it's the floating plants in the water without roots, is not stable. In the same way, the consciousness without any roots is also considered not stable. So it is not beautiful. So 2 types of consciousness in sensuous pure consciousness are considered as not beautiful consciousness. And the last part has the beautiful roots. So they are named as the Kama Vachara Sobhana. So the word Sobhana representing the beautiful. Okay, let's continue our today's lesson, the rootless consciousness, which is called Atharasa Ahetuka Chittani. So Atharasa is 18, to show the number. And Ahetuka Chittani, so Ahetuka is no root, so it means rootless. Chittani, consciousness. Okay, so let's as I mentioned just now, the why are they called Ahetuka or rootless consciousness? So device of mental factors called hetu, roots. So roots are actually in reality, in the classification of reality, Chitta, Chittasika, Rupa, and Nibbana. Among them, the Hetu are the mental factors included under the group of mental factors. So here, when the consciousness arises, there is no mental factor called Hetu. So here, you see the greed, hatred, and delusion are unwholesome roots. And three bright roots, non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. So they are bright roots, it's not unwholesome. Maybe sometimes it is wholesome, it is resultant, and sometimes functional. But we can see the bright root. So firstly, we have to study about the classification. The rootless consciousness is divided into three groups. The first group is unwholesome resultant consciousness. Just be mindful, this is not unwholesome. This is just resultant of unwholesome consciousness, unwholesome karma. So this group contains 7. Satta, akusala, vipaka, chittani. So akusala is unwholesome. Vipaka is resultant. So these types of consciousness are resultant consciousness of unwholesome karma. That is why they are named as unwholesome resultant consciousness. They are 7 in number. And the second group is wholesome resultant rootless consciousness. Atta, akusala, vipaka, hetuka, chittani. Here, the word ahetuka between the vipaka and chittani, the word ahetuka is added. So rootless. So this group of consciousness also not wholesome. This is resultant, same as the previous group. Resultant consciousness produced by the wholesome karma. That is why wholesome resultant. So the first group is produced by the unwholesome. Second group is produced by wholesome karma. So both groups are resultants, only the resultant consciousness. The first one is unwholesome resultant. Second one is wholesome resultants. So they are 8 in number. Then here, why the word rootless in Pali ahetuka is added in the name, although it is not added in the akusala vipaka chittani, in case of akusala vipaka chittani. It is mentioned that this is a kind of modifier. The modifier is used when it is needed. It means to differentiate one from the others. In this case, unwholesome resultant is only has only these types. This only 7 among the 89 consciousness. We can find only this group as unwholesome resultants. So there is no other unwholesome resultant to identify, to classify. But here in this case, wholesome resultant, there are the other group of wholesome resultant consciousness. So to differentiate from the others, they are with roots. The word ahetuka, in English, rootless, is added in the name. So atta kusala vipaka hetuka chittani. This differentiates rootless resultant consciousness from the resultant consciousness, wholesome resultant consciousness with roots. So we have to mindful ahetuka, the word ahetuka in the name. Okay, so we already get 2 groups. Then the last group of ahetuka consciousness is rootless functional consciousness. They are 3 in number. So tini, ahetuka, kiriya chittani. So here 2 resultant groups and 1 functional. So altogether 18 rootless consciousness. This is enumeration first. Then so, why they are called unwholesome resultant? So they are result of unwholesome karma. So they are produced by the unwholesome karma. It is done in the past. In the same way, the second group is result of wholesome karma. It's produced by the wholesome karma. It is done in the past. Okay, so the last group, the third group, the rootless functional consciousness, it is not wholesome karma. It is a not wholesome karma, and also not unwholesome karma, and not resultant like the previous two groups. It is not resultant of the karma. So what is that? It is just functional. Just functional. It means the action without any karmic potency. So it cannot produce any result. And also it is not produced by any karma, just the functional. So this is the nature of the consciousness. It is called the Chitta Niyama. This is that kind of consciousness. It is named as functional. In Pali, it is Kiriya. So according to the classification according to their own transcendent nature. So this two group is under the resultant consciousness. So in the 18 rootless consciousness, the resultant consciousness are 15. So rootless resultant consciousness 15. There's 7 are produced by unwholesome karma and 8 are produced by wholesome karma. Altogether 15 resultant consciousness and 3 functional consciousness. So altogether we get the 18 rootless consciousness. So we need to keep this all information in our mind to study in detail. Okay, so here the table number 1 represent the unwholesome resultant consciousness, 7 unwholesome resultant consciousness, and table number 2 show the wholesome resultant consciousness, 8. It should be wholesome. So here, let's see from the beginning. The first one, Upekha Sahagata Chakku Vinyana, like this. So let's focus on the Sahagata, the column of Sahagata. So as we have studied in Akusala Chitta, unwholesome consciousness. So the consciousness itself has one characteristic, knowing the objects. We have to keep in mind this information about the consciousness. Every type of consciousness share the same characteristic of knowing the objects. So we cannot identify them according to the characteristic. So we can identify through the Vedana, through the feeling it accompanies. So here, Sahagata will classify according to the Vedana, feeling. So some types of consciousness accompanied by equanimity, some accompanied by pain, some accompanied by pleasure, and some accompanied by joy. But accompanied by displeasure, the consciousness accompanied by displeasure is Domanassa Sahagata. It is that types of consciousness can be found only in unwholesome consciousness. So in Ahetuka, rootless consciousness, different types of Vedana or different types of feelings are found in the Ahetuka consciousness. Here we can find 4 types of feeling in Ahetuka consciousness. In the Akusala consciousness, you can find only Somanassa Sahagata accompanied by joy, Domanassa Sahagata accompanied by displeasure, and Upekkha Sahagata accompanied by equanimity. Only 3 types you can find. And in case of Ahituka consciousness, you can find more category of consciousness according to feeling. So here, Upekkha Sahagata accompanied by equanimity. So when we identify the consciousness, we need to know the feeling, accompanied feeling first to identify which one. So here, the first one is accompanied by equanimity. Then actually, when you see the Bhikkhu Bodhi translation box, I consciousness, it is translated that I consciousness accompanied by equanimity. This is written in English translation. So in Pali, it is written Upekkha Sahagatam Chakku Vinyana. So the order is different. So anyway, we can understand the first column show the accompanied feeling. So the first type of consciousness is accompanied by equanimity. And the types of consciousness is I consciousness. So in this case, we have to understand I and I consciousness. So what we say I, Chakku, is the physical phenomena, the group of materialities. So that has the potency to capture the visible object. So when the visible object appear, it is captured by the eye sensitivity, coming together at the same time, coming together eye sensitivity and visible form. So visible form appear in the eye sensitivity catch visible form. Then through the touching contact, through the touching of visible form and eye sensitivity. So the touching context in combination of eye sensitivity and visible form, then context, the eye consciousness arise. So what we call Chakku eye and Chakku Vinyana eye consciousness are different. Eye in Pali, Chakku is Rupa. Eye consciousness in Pali, Chakku Vinyana is Nama. So we have to understand clearly their differences. So the nature of Rupa and the nature of Nama. So in this case, this is the types of consciousness, eye consciousness, because it arises depends on eye sensitivity. That is why it is called eye consciousness. It is named as eye consciousness. So it is accompanied by equanimity. So eye consciousness accompanied by equanimity is the first type of consciousness in 18 rootless consciousness. So it is easy to understand that is the number 2, 3, 4. So when the consciousness arises based on the ear sensitivity, it is called ear consciousness. It is also accompanied by equanimity. Then when the consciousness arises based on the nose sensitivity, it is called nose consciousness. And the consciousness arises based on the tongue. It's called tongue sensitivity, not the whole physical tongue. So it is called tongue consciousness. So these four accompanied by equanimity. And the fifth one, also the body consciousness, is come through the body sensitivity, but it is accompanied by pain. So dukkha sahagata, accompanied by pain. It is called body consciousness. So from 1 to 5, these type of consciousness arise due to the five sense door. through the five sense door, or the context through the five sense door. Then we will understand later more about these types of consciousness. Then let's continue about the six. Six types of consciousness is accompanied by equanimity, same, the sampadichana. So in this case, we have to know the function of consciousness. Previously, I mentioned that consciousness can be identified through the accompaniment factors, and by observing accompaniment factors or associated mental factors, we can understand this is what kind of consciousness, what types of consciousness. And secondly, we can identify the consciousness through the function. When the consciousness arises, what is due, what is performed, the function. By observing the function, we can understand or we can identify the consciousness. So in the case of I consciousness, it performs the seeing action. So without the I consciousness, we cannot see. That is the physical I consciousness. So that's the I consciousness perform the seeing action. In Pali, it is called the Dasana Kicca. We will study that in chapter 3. There are altogether 14 kicca, 14 functions of consciousness. Here, the I consciousness perform or do the seeing. That is a kind of function of consciousness. The second type of ear consciousness perform the different function, that hearing. So ear consciousness, when ear consciousness arises in the process of mentality, it performs the hearing. So without the ear consciousness, you cannot hear. So when the ear consciousness arises, you can hear. And in other way, you can understand, whenever you hear, there is ear consciousness arise. So whenever you see, eye consciousness arise. Then the third types of consciousness is perform the nose smelling. So nose consciousness perform the smelling action, smelling function. So tongue consciousness tasting and knowing the taste. Then the fifth types of consciousness, body consciousness perform the knowing the touch or the contact of bodily physical contact. Then when it comes unpleasurable condition, that is the painful condition, through the body consciousness. Because this group of consciousness is resultant of unwholesome karma, produced by unwholesome karma, it is come with the painful feeling. So the fifth one become painful. We can compare with the following table. Is sukha sahagata accompanied by pleasure. So this should be kusala vipaga. So this is the wholesome resultant. So these types of consciousness share with the wholesome resultant consciousness, group of wholesome resultant consciousness. So here, number 8, also Chakku Vinyana, the eye consciousness, same as the table number 1. So two Chakku Vinyana, it means the two eye consciousness, two types of eye consciousness. One is produced by the unwholesome karma, the other is produced by the wholesome karma. So in case of seeing, the feeling will not be different. Both are in equanimity. So whatever you see at the moment, the feeling is equanimity. And in the same way, the ear consciousness, two ear consciousness, and two nose consciousness, two tongue consciousness. Here you can see in case of body consciousness, the feeling is different. So in unwholesome resultant consciousness, because it is produced by unwholesome, the feeling is painful. Then wholesome resultant consciousness, because this is produced by the wholesome karma, it is accompanied by pleasure feeling. So this is the difference between the wholesome resultant and unwholesome resultant. Then let's continue this, the Sampatichana consciousness. So for the accompanied feeling, we don't need to explain again. The function, what is performed is receiving consciousness. So it receives the object. When the object enter through the mind door, through the door, six sense door. Here, in case of five sense door, when it's come, and there's seeing or hearing or smelling, tasting or touching. After performing that function, then according to the nature of the consciousness, Citta Niyama, the consciousness receives the object. So that type of consciousness is called the receiving consciousness. It follows the 5 types of vijnana, 5 types of consciousness above. So receiving consciousness is called Sampatichana in Pali. And we can find here receiving consciousness also in the table number 2 in case of wholesome resultant consciousness. So whenever the object is done by the action, is by the consciousness touched by the any different function, then the object is received by the consciousness in keeping in the mind. So this type of consciousness is called receiving consciousness. We can find the 2 receiving consciousness. Then the 7 types of consciousness is Santirana, investigating. It is so in the example when the visitor come into the house, he was checked by the house owner. So is the house owner is mine. So when the object appear in the mind through the 5 sense door and also in 6 sense door, including the mind door. So the seeing consciousness see, and hearing consciousness, ear consciousness hear in the way they perform. Then the visitor was received by the house owner. The consciousness received. Then after receiving, and then the house owner asked the question about the visitor. It is seen as the investigation. So in the same way, the consciousness after receiving, the consciousness investigate the objects, the new objects. So this is the types of consciousness which called the Santirana, which is called Santirana, investigating consciousness. So this also can be found in second group, but in second group, in table number 2, wholesome resultant consciousness. So there are 2 types of Santirana. So the first one accompanied by joy, second one accompanied by equanimity. That is why the Santirana 3 become 3. So 3 types of Santirana. So this difference make the unwholesome resultant consciousness 7 and wholesome resultant consciousness 8. So this number 14 is the extra one for the wholesome resultant consciousness. So it is accompanied by joy. So Santirana become 2 in wholesome resultant consciousness. One is accompanied by joy and second is accompanied by equanimity. So, but the function will be the same. All the function the consciousness perform in wholesome resultant consciousness are same as the unwholesome resultant consciousness. So seeing, hearing, and taste, and smelling, tasting, and touching, then receiving and investigating. So they perform their respective function when they arise. So in this case, most of the consciousness are accompanied by equanimity. So we cannot identify through the accompaniment factors, but we can find the difference, or we can differentiate them through their function. That's why they become the different category of consciousness, different types of consciousness. So by seeing the two table, we can take a note in this way. So Dvipancha Vijnana, two sets of five-fold sense consciousness. So five-fold, two sets become 10 consciousness. We can pick up 10 consciousness. So Chakku Vijnana 2, unconsciousness 2, from the unwholesome resultant unconsciousness 1 and wholesome resultant unconsciousness 1. In this way, unconsciousness become 2. In the same way, ear consciousness 2, nose consciousness 2, tongue consciousness 2, body consciousness 2. So it becomes 10. They are collectively called Dvipancha Vijnana in Pali, and two sets of five-fold sense consciousness. We have to remember this name. It will be very useful in chapter 2, Chittasika chapter. So then Sampradechana, receiving consciousness, in the unwholesome resultant consciousness, one receiving consciousness, and in wholesome resultant consciousness, one receiving consciousness, we can and make together Sampradechana 2, receiving consciousness 2. And for the investigating consciousness 3, in unwholesome resultant consciousness, it is 1, and 2 in wholesome resultant consciousness. So it becomes 3. In this way, 15 resultant consciousness, 15 rootless resultant consciousness. We can understand in this way. So then the last category of rootless consciousness is ahetuka kriya chitta, rootless functional consciousness. So 3 rootless functional consciousness, 2 are accompanied by equanimity, 1 is accompanied by joy. So according to the types of the consciousness, the first functional consciousness is Panchadwara Vajana. So 5 sense door abundant consciousness. And second one is mind door abundant consciousness. So these two same as being abundant consciousness, just difference the doors. So 5 door regarding the eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body. The first type of consciousness, 5 sense door abundant consciousness, were complex. So this is when the newly objects arise, and through the 5 sense door, after cutting off the bhavanga, after cutting off the bhavanga consciousness, the first 5 sense door abundant consciousness arise. Then unconsciousness follow. Then according to the process is what runs. So in next lesson, we will study about the cognitive process, which arise due to the object, due to the new object. So we will study and we will understand more. So in this lesson, we just need to focus the enumeration according to the different function and different category. So here, 2 consciousness are same in being abundant consciousness, but they are difference in 5 sinks door and mind door. So both of these are accompanied by equanimity. And the last one is accompanied by joy because it is Hasitobhara. It is the consciousness which produces the smiling. So smile producing consciousness accompanied by joy. In this way, Ahituka Kriya, rootless functional consciousness are 3 in number. So these types of consciousness also we can classify in this way. Awajana, avoiding consciousness 2. So they are 2. And the last one, Hasitobhara, smile producing consciousness 1. In this way, rootless functional consciousness 3. Okay, so let's make the conclusion about the 18 rootless consciousness. So there are 15 rootless resultant consciousness. So according to the name given in the Abhidhamma Sangha, we already categorize at the beginning. Here is different way of classification for 18 rootless consciousness. So Vipanja Vinyana, 2 sets of 5, 4 sense consciousness, so 10 in number. And Sampadichana, receiving consciousness, 2. Then Santirana, investigating consciousness, 3. So in this way, the first group is 15 rootless consciousness. For the second group, as mentioned in the previous slide, the Avijana, averting consciousness 2, and Hasitobhara, smile producing consciousness 1, become 3 functional consciousness. So this is the 18 rootless consciousness. Okay. Another classification due to the accompanied feeling. So Sukha Sahagata accompanied by pleasure, 1. Dukkha Sahagata accompanied by pain is 1. Somanasa Sahagata accompanied by joy is 2. Then Upekha Sahagata accompanied by equanimity is 14. In this way, altogether 18 rootless consciousness can be classified in different ways. It means understanding different classification means you are understanding more about the types of consciousness. So we have to try to understand every category of consciousness from different directions. So now we have a lot of information. So just trying to keep in mind the information, the classification according to the nature. According to the nature means according to their own nature is the resultant, and this is the functional. So two groups have the different nature. Then among the same group of resultant consciousness also, they have different function. So according to the function, they are classified. Then let's continue more classification. So according to the classification of elements, so you may heard about the 18 elements. So the Buddha preached his Dhamma, the Dhamma, when he gives the discourses from different aspects or different categories. So some of the Dhamma discourse are given from the aggregates, from the aspect of aggregates. So there are 5 aggregates. Then some discourse are given according to the clinging aggregate. They are called the Upadana Khanda. There are 5 Upadana Khanda. And some discourse are given according to the base. So there are 12 bases or 12 ayatana. And some discourse are given from the side of elements. So there are 18 elements. Some discourses like the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta are given according to the noble truth. So there are 4 noble truths. So Chatusacca. There one of the group category is the elements. So element also very important categorization to know about the Buddha's teaching. So here, Pancha Vijnana Dhatu, the first one, Pancha Vijnana Dhatu, is the 5 elements of sense consciousness. The 5 elements of sense consciousness. So this is same of the Chakku, Sota, Ghana, Jiva, Kaya. So eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body. So the 5. Through the 5 sense door, the consciousness arises. That types of consciousness are regarded as the 5 elements of sense consciousness. The second one, mind door consciousness. So Manodhatu, mind elements. And the third one is mind consciousness element. So here, the consciousness arises through the mind door. So they are, so here, mind consciousness element. They are considered as mind consciousness element. But there are the second group, mind element, can be understood. Manodhatu. So when you reach the Patthana, the test of the Patthana, you will find the word Manodhatu and Manovinyana Dhatu many times. So in order to understand what are the Pancha Vijnana Dhatu consciousness, what are the Manodhatu mind element consciousness, and what are the mind consciousness element. So we have to classify the consciousness according to their respective consciousness. So Pancha Vijnana Dhatu is not difficult to understand. So they are Dvipancha Vijnana, 2 set of 5-4 sense consciousness. So here, sense consciousness, there's also 5-4 sense consciousness. They arise through the 5 physical door. So they are 10 in number. The second category of consciousness, Manodhatu, mind element. It's not easy to understand through the definition of the name, Manodhatu, mind element. What is mind element? So according to the classification of the nature, so this is 5 door abiding consciousness. In the Ahetuka Chitta, there are 2 abiding consciousness. There, one is 5 door abiding consciousness, the other is mind door abiding consciousness. Here, only the 5 door abiding consciousness is taken. So 5 door abiding consciousness and 2 types of receiving consciousness. So receiving consciousness, we already mentioned that. So altogether, these three are named as the Manodhatus, as the one of the categories, because they are elements, but only mind. So mind elements. Then the third category of consciousness. So here in the first group 10 and second group 3, we already enumerate, we already counted. So except these 2 sets of 13 consciousness, the rest, because we already have the 89 consciousness, there are 89 consciousness. So except the 13 consciousness, those are taken in the previous 2 groups. The rest 76 types of consciousness are called mind consciousness element. So this is the way, one of the way to classify the 89 consciousness. Through the understanding of the 18 rootless consciousness, we can classify 89 consciousness in this way. And this is also very useful classification in Patthana. When you continue your study up to the Patthana, you have to know these types of classification. Anyway, it is good to know. Then, when we studied about the 18 types of elements, and And also when you study the 12 bases, so 12 bases, 12 ayatana and 18 element. So why 12 ayatana? So it means the four ultimate reality are classified into 12 according to the basis. And also four ultimate reality are classified into 18 according to the classification of element. So when the ultimate reality are classified according to base, it is only 12. But when it is classified according to the element, it becomes 18. Why? What made the difference in number? So this classification make the difference. So altogether, the 89 consciousness are considered in the classification of basis. It is only manayarana, only one type. But when it is classified according to the elements, it is classified into seven. So 1 becomes 7. That's why 12 become 18. So one types of manayarana or 89 consciousness become 7 elements. So here also this I make the brief categorization. Here 3. But when we extend, so the first one into 5, because here the first one consists of 5 types of consciousness. So when we enumerate the fully enumeration for the 18 elements, is become the 7. So the first one, Chaku Vinyana Dhatu, like this. Here, Pancha Vinyana Dhatu become the 5 element. So Chaku Vinyana Dhatu, eye consciousness. The element of eye consciousness, it should be translated in that way. The element of eye consciousness. So Soda Vinyana Dhatu, the element of ear consciousness. Gana Vinyana Dhatu, the element of nose consciousness. Jinwa Vinyana Dhatu, element of tongue consciousness. Kaya Vinyana Dhatu, the element of body consciousness. And here, the sixth one is the second group here, Mano Dhatu, so mind element 3, and Mano Vinyana Dhatu, mind consciousness element 78. Altogether, 89 consciousness, which is regarded in the classification of basis, only one, as Manayarana. So this is the enumeration and classification of 89 rootless consciousness. So we already studied the enumeration, but we have to keep the information, this type of information, first in our mind. Then, based on this information, we will continue that information. We will continue our study about the nature, come into the nature. So without the name, we cannot identify which one, like this. That's why I teach this enumeration and classification and giving the name according to the respective nature, the group, according to the group, like this. So after that, in this second part, we will focus their, their nature, how they arise, and what are the conducive to arrive at this. So for the examination, enumeration is very important, because in our tradition, the examination is to test the basis understanding, how the person understands the Abhidhamma basically. So usually in our tradition, the enumeration, classification, and the name and the definition of the word are asked to answer in the exam. So okay, this was I'm going to stop here my teacher, and we will continue to Q&A session.
Dear Bante, thank you very much for your teachings today. May Bante lead us in making aspirations and sharing of merits, please.
Okay, let's start our aspiration and share a merit. Imina punyakamena
Imina punya kamena
mami bala samagamo
mame bala samagamo
adam samagamo hodu
tatam samagamo hotu
yawa nibbana patiya
yava nibbana patiya
idame punyam
idame punyang
asawakaya waha hodu
asavakaya vaham hotu
idame punyam
idame punyang
nibbana sapajayo hodu
nibbana sapachayo hotu
mama punya bhagam
mama punya bhagam
Sabha satanam bhajemi
sabbasatanam bhajemi
Esabe
te sabbe
me samam
te samam
punya bhagam labandu.
punya bhagam labantu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you. May you be happy.
Thank you, Bante. And thank you everyone for your time and participation. Till we meet on next Sunday, may all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu.